All right, y'all. So it's August 5th, 2026, and it's approximately 3:53 a.m. Eastern. We flipped the post. It might be Western. Gregorian calendar, hear me out. I'm over here on YouTube, and I done took me a little break, so I'm back. And I'm over on a channel called O'Shea Duke Jackson, and it's titled Sydney Starr's Downfall is So Beautiful to Watch. Now, I watched like the first 2 minutes and I'm intrigued. So let's get into the video. Thank you, O'Shea Duke Jackson. Back to you.
You've always been a bimbo and a dumb bitch. But, bitch, this is too much.
On June 1st, 2023, at the Woodward Inn in Highland Park, Michigan, a murder happened. A transgender sex worker by the name of Asia Davis had all of a sudden been killed, and people were trying to find out who did it.
Friends of the victim, Asia Davis, a 34-year-old transgender woman, are speaking out in hopes that someone, anyone who knows something, will not remain silent.
It took some while to find out who the individual was that committed the crime, but we found out that it was a young man by the name of Carlos Scotland. And Asia Davis was 34, but Carlos Scotland was only 17. Damn! Now, this does not excuse what he did, because murder is still wrong. He's serving like 17 to 30 years in prison. But people were talking about this big age difference. Asia Davis was 34, and why was Asia dealing with someone that was 17? It's interesting to know that the baseline of sexual consent in the state of Michigan is 16 years. But that doesn't mean a 34-year-old can deal with somebody who is 16 years. Typically, they have something called like a Romeo law if you're a few years away from 16, such as 18 or 19. You kind of have a little bit of leeway. And that's how these states work, that have this kind of baseline age of consent. And that brings us to what's going on right now in Atlanta. Sydney Starr, aka known as Sydney Favors, is a transgender socialite out of Chicago. Sydney Starr first went viral when Sydney accused rapper Chingy of engaging in a sexual relationship with a transgender. And what did this do to Chingy's career?
I had a MasterCard credit card deal, like with my own MasterCards, man. I was finna sign to Interscope. I was on LA on yachts and eating fruit with these people, talking about album deals, and I had a lot going on at that time. And all that, boy, when that hit,
Chingy lost everything. He never, ever recovered. And Sydney Starr would give an excuse for this.
I was young-minded. I started my transition at 15. Chingy opened up for one of the shows. And I always had a big crush on Chingy. So the thing was, I wanted to get a picture. And, you know, he was very welcoming.
The main thing that I heard there was I was immature at the time. And that's important to understand because 2012 was 14 years ago. So that means Sydney Starr should not be having those same.
This is why I get frustrated. It's the play on the mind that they have on folks, bro. Like right here, you can tell that's a dude, but when the one called Sydney Starr was younger, it was really hard to figure out if that was a dude or a woman. And that's fucked up. Back to you, O'Shea Duke Jackson. The fuck?
Problems today, right? On August 2nd, 2026, at Embassy Suites in Hapeville, Georgia, Sydney Starr, aka Sydney Favors, was arrested for what?
The charges in this story are disturbing, and I just want to say that before we get into it. Reality TV personality Sydney Starr is behind bars in Fulton County, facing severe felony charges involving a... Hapeville police arrested the model and television personality whose legal name is Sydney Favors on Sunday at the Embassy Suites on International Boulevard. Police say Favors is charged with sodomy, sexual battery against a under 6 and aggravated molestation.
It's weird that Sydney Starr would even be at Embassy Suites at a hotel in general, even if the person was an adult, but especially if the person is underage. Now, this matches very closely to the Asia Davis story, where Asia Davis met this young man at the Woodward Inn in Highland Park, but in this case, there was no actual murder. Sydney Starr was at Embassy Suites, and my idea of why Sydney Starr was there was for the same purpose that Asia Davis might have been there, which was most likely some kind of sexual for pay sort of thing. But let's get back to the state of Georgia, right? It's very similar to the state of Michigan. They both have the legal age consent of 16 years old. It doesn't mean that if you're 33, 34, or 35, that you can talk to a 16-year-old. The legal age of consent is 16. Just like Michigan, you have that window of somebody that's like 19, 20, or 18. It's kind of within a few years. So this whole idea of Sydney Starr dealing with somebody 16 or under is still terrible. And now
There's going to be hundreds of think pieces on this is what trans people do. This is what, see, they're men and men like minors. This is going to hinder us as a...
Right now, Feeling Girl's everyday wireless bra is up to 70% off.
a whole.
Now, this point is interesting. Remember the Asia Davis case that I talked about? In 2023, people completely forgot that Asia Davis was 34, dealing with a then 17-year-old. What was really talked about was the transphobia, trans hatred, and the fact that this young man was 17 years old. Nobody talked about it. It was swept underneath the rug. But in this case, there was no attack on Sydney Starr. And the individual here is correct, because it's going to be very easy for certain people. Nobody talked about it. It was swept underneath the rug. But in this case, there was no attack on Sydney Starr. And the individual here is correct, because it's going to be very easy for certain people to say, you see what, some people in the LGBTQ do. They are dealing with people of X, Y, and Z's age. And the reality is, it is not a good look for the LGBTQ. And I'm going to tell you why. If a heterosexual man does something like this, everybody has already trashed heterosexual men to the point of no return. You cannot embarrass men any more than they've already been talked about. Men are abusive. Men are the worst things in the world. But if you're a part of the LGBTQ, you do have certain frameworks and protections, and you have to keep a good name. And this is one of the...
It ain't certain that anytime you talk about that community, especially the fucking T's, it is like uproar, okay? So it's not certain. It's anytime, in the moment you do, everything in their world, let's get that correct, in their world, everything you do will crumble if you go against any of them. Back to you, O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Issues when you have somebody like Sydney Starr, who is largely visible and popular among certain people in the genre, that people look at this and say, oh, well, Sydney Starr is definitely transgender. So yeah, this may be true that other people participate in the same thing. But then,
even if it was a date, are we not vetting the dates? Are we not vetting the dates? Like, I can tell... You should be able to tell if someone is under the age of 19.
Now, this is also a good point, because how do you not tell? Now, living in the Black community, I'm pretty sure there are kids who are tall or muscular or whatever the case may be. I mean, that was the case when I was growing up. But there are just certain signs that you can tell if somebody is 16 or not. And not only that, the individual was under 16.
Damn.
That's what Sydney is being accused of. The individual wasn't even 16. And certain people are saying that individual could have been as young as 14. So how do you not know about this? Now, I know there are certain people that are saying that, kids are looking more adult or more grown. There are just certain things about people that are going to let you know that they're in that age group. If you talk to somebody like 21, 22, 23, you know that that person's young. And God forbid it's somebody 18 or around that age, or God forbid even younger. How did you not know? And then why did you think that you could get away with it, especially at the embassy suites? And I could only think of one thing: a level of entitlement. Let me explain. You can only do something like this because you feel like nothing can happen to you, all right? And I feel like certain protected groups may think that, hey, I can always hide behind X, Y, and Z, and I'll be okay, or I can just justify it. But you always gotta understand that there's only certain things people can protect you from. Nobody can defend this kind of behavior, even if the quote-unquote boy was a willing participant. And
See, it's not just the transgenders or the T's or the LGBTQ community. Let me just get that correct. This is happening throughout society. It just so happens that this motherfucker right here, Sydney Starr, is going under the jail. And what I mean by that, what that term means is, they not going to jail. They going to the little spots under the jail where they be performing all these tests, and it knows what's about to go down. They always get these privileges, but that shit is a wrap. It's not allowed on the land no more. You understand me? Time is up. They had enough time. Time was constructed for a certain reason. That time period is over. We are in the age of information. That is destruction, not only to your bodies, beloved, but to everyone else's minds. And it's not just the T's, all right? I'm just saying, we're on this topic here, right? And did they mention that the young man was under 14? See, my belief is they're pressuring these young men to do stuff they don't want to do. And then ping, ping, bow, bow, boom, boom happen. Pew, pew. And then they in jail for the rest of their life. And then now, whatever's going on with this situation here, did y'all hear the accusations though? Oh my gosh, man. Look at this motherfucker right now, in the picture frame right now. Come on now, y'all.
you see, there's the whole idea of the word, sodomy, and that can include, the backside or oral and stuff like that. That's also talked about in this. But nobody would do something like this if they felt like they would not be punished. And Sydney thought that this would go unpunished. And I know that many people have been rooting for Sydney Starr's downfall for at least 16.
See, right here. That motherfucker look like a woman. I'm gonna show y'all I look like a man right now. That's why I ain't come on the camera with y'all. Like, look at me. Done took my hair out. Shrinkage is real, but I already ain't have a real bush. And then my voice. It's early in the morning, but I'm trying to tell you, I ain't got fake shit. I think that's the issue. When women are more comfortable with themselves, and they had to do so much work to create a different look for a woman. Because if you ever pay attention, especially within the black community, black women, y'all didn't start doing all the wigs and the lashes and all that shit to extremes until the T's came in the community having to do it to extremes to cover themselves up. In the pink community too, all communities. It's like they made women feel like they had to do extra shit to be beautiful. Back to y'all.
In years, but the reality is that Sydney had all the time in the world to get it together and just didn't. You might have said that you were immature in 2010 and 2011. Well, you're hella immature in 2026, and now we've been thinking about how long have you been doing this? And Sydney is the main person exposing everybody else's information, leaking stuff, leaking photos. The same thing with Darius McCrary, trying to end people's careers. And if you're going to participate in ending other people's careers, you gotta walk a fine line. Like, your stuff cannot stink at all. But then the moment that we see that your stuff stinks and you have problems, people are going to be like, wait, hold on. I know this ain't you that's messing up, is it? So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of ZELLE.
Alright, so that's O'Shea Dukes Jackson's video. Sydney Starr's downfall is so beautiful to watch, okay? And it was published on August 4th, which is yesterday, 2026. Let's go on over to O'Shea's channel. Click on videos. He also has podcasts and playlists. Matter of fact, let's go over to that. Well, since we're here, Mexican streamer regrets saying this to a black man. Here's proof that Colombia is done with black men. And then, of course, we just watched Sydney Starr's downfall. So beautiful to watch. Since we over here, going over to my channel, click on playlist. You can tap on reaction video. You can tap on any of these reaction videos here. Like Say It Ain't So, Brown, Lil Wayne, and more. Tap that video so you can see the title. High School Bully Gets. Tap that video so you can see what's going on. Happy New Year 2024. Tap that video so you can see what's going on. Kehlani exposes Santeria. Tap that video so you can see what's going on. And it premieres this afternoon at 1 p.m. If you're into tarot divination and going back to the playlist, you can click on hashtag Lost Souls Tarot. And once you click on that, you got videos like Liar Liar, Tongue on Fire. Who is Sekhmet? Who are these new spirits? All eyes are on you, ... We also have I Know You Fucking Lying. Why are they going through your phone? Congrats on your promotion. Much peace, much light, much love, but especially the motherfucking darkness because of dark matter. Love y'all.